This is an HSC podcast hosted by students and for the students, where we talk about all layers of your well-being.
The views and expressions said in this podcast episode belong solely to the guests of this episode. They do not represent one structure or population as a whole. If you are concerned for yourself, a friend, or a fellow HSC student, please reach out to the care team at 817-735-2570, and they can help you navigate your crisis.
Welcome to Wellbeing Unlocked, a brand new HSC podcast from the Be Well team. I'm your host, Dhruvi Pradhan, a second-year student at the School of Public Health, and this is my co-host, Lauren Carter.
Hi, I'm Lauren Carter. I am the Assistant Director of Be Well, and so essentially, I like to say that I am a bridge. I'm a bridge for the students, the faculty, and staff to ensure that well-being, emotional intelligence, and resiliency are integrated into the campus experience. And I have the luxury of working with Dhruvi.
Welcome to Wellbeing Unlocked, where we explore strategies for thriving in new environments and navigating life's transitions. I'm your host, Dhruvi, and today we're diving into the experiences of international students adjusting to life abroad. Joining us today is Edna, an international student here at HSC. Welcome, Edna. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, Dhruvi. Hi, everyone. My name is Edna Mendoza. I am currently a third-year PhD student at the School of Public Health at our university, and my PhD is in public health sciences with concentration in epidemiology. And in my just an interesting fact about me, I used to have pet rats.
Wow.
Yes.
I need more information about this. Wait.
Okay, just to dispel the myth that they are, like dirty animals. No, they're not dirty. They're very clean.
Yeah.
And they groom themselves actually more than cats in one day. And, contrary to popular belief, they're clean and they don't smell at all.
Oh.
And you don't need to bring them to the shower.
Yeah.
and they're very smart. When you call on them, they come to you and they're very affectionate and
That
clean.
is fascinating.
I know.
I feel like we could have been friends growing up because I wanted all of the random animals. Now, I'm also from a very small rural town. Mm-hmm. So you got animals that just were, we had bobcats in the backyard.
Oh, cool.
Cool depending upon the day and the time of year. But I used to want a pet tarantula.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's really
You
interesting.
learn something new every day.
Okay, we also have Dr. Neela Megam, a faculty member here in the Department of Population and Community Health at HSC. Welcome, Dr. Neela Megam. Can you introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Malini Neela Megam. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Public Health. This is actually my third year here at HSC. I am originally from Malaysia, and I moved to the U.S. to do my graduate studies and then continued as faculty. So fun fact about me, I love to bake and I love to cook. So that is my favorite thing to do. My friends say that is my love language, but that also means they are the guinea pig. I'll try something. I love that show. What is it? The Great British Bake Off.
Yes.
Yeah. So my husband and I, we watch it, and then we started this thing where every year for his birthday, he would tell me what he would want for his birthday, and then we would experiment. And now that my kiddo is a little older, so he participates in it as well.
All right, before we begin, let's start with our icebreaker questions. So, Edna, what about you? What is your word for the day?
My word for today is persistence. There's just a lot of things going on, especially with the semester wrapping up. Mm-hmm. And we just have to be persistent with just 2.5 weeks to go before the semester ends. It's there, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So just to be persistent, we have to be persistent.
Mm-hmm. I think I resonate the most with you on that word because, yes, we're graduating too. Yeah. 2.5 weeks to go. We're getting there. We're getting there.
That's right.
All right. What about your intention for today?
My intention for today is, the Nike logo, just do it. Just do it. Just write it. Mm-hmm. Just do your assignments. Check your tasks of your planner and just do it. Yes. It's hard, to motivate yourself. And there's a lot of reasons to procrastinate. I cook. When I procrastinate, I wash the dishes, I clean. Mm-hmm. But, just do it.
Yeah.
Just have to sit down and do it.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Lastly, what is the one self-care item
the one self-care item that I do as much as I can on a daily basis is skincare.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I'm still a woman. I feel I still have that desire to like look pretty from time to time. So I do tretinoin every night. I do vitamin C and sunscreen in the morning. And
for you.
yes, and like, just so I have that like skincare. I'm taken care of. I feel like I am taking care of myself.
Yeah. You're being intentional about doing something just for you.
Just for yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's like I feel it's the 15 minutes of your skincare is your time. You get to apply all the different layers of skincare, and you're like, "Ooh, this feels nice. Oh, my
Yes.
skin feels better now."
Yes, or like, oh, is that a sunspot? Or like, is that a wrinkle? Oh my gosh, my age is showing. But let's slather on more tretinoin and sunscreen. Right?
Hey, aging is a beautiful thing.
Yes, I agree. I don't hide my age. I'm proud to be like, oh, I'm 38. I just announced it right
You
there.
don't look like it.
That's like
Yes,
so
you
much
don't
must
look
be-
like
The
it.
tretinoin work.
It's working.
and the sunscreen too.
Yes.
It is. It is. Okay, Dr. Neela Bacon, what about you? What is your word for the day?
I think prioritize. That's my word. There's lots of things happening at the same time, but I try to do everything at the same time. So I think prioritize.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It is. I kind of understand that too. I feel like I'm resonating with both of you today on your words because prioritizing is a hard task, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you start doing something and suddenly your mind is like, oh, I had to do that too. And then you just shift.
Yes.
Your entire focus shifts and then you start doing that and you're like, oh no, I forgot to do that.
Right.
And then you move
Yes.
again.
Exactly.
You're like,
I
you're all
agree.
over the place.
Yes.
So I think prioritizing what you need to get done first, like what is your next step,
Yes.
helps much better than just being all over the
Yes.
place.
Someone told me that when you make a to-do list, to have quadrants in your to-do list.
Yes, the
it's-
4 quadrants.
Yes.
The Eisenhower matrix.
Yep.
I have that in my planner, and I do, and everything is like urgent and important. But
I know.
there's
Yeah.
a discernment. You need to have like
Yes.
wisdom and discernment to identify which is
Yes.
which in which quadrant.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, what about your intention for today?
I think today to spend more time with my kiddo. It's been a busy semester with grant writing and things like that. So I think, to do more things with him today and this weekend.
And one self-care item.
So I never get to watch TV as much as I want to. I have to watch what my kid wants or what my husband wants. But I really got into Hulu's Under the Bridge. The new episodes drop every Wednesday. So Friday evening is when I put everyone to sleep. And I watch my show.
Yes.
Nice. I
Love that for you. Serious. Honestly, it's like it's hard to like get that time to yourself when you have to cater to other people around
Yes.
you.
I agree.
And you kind of like there was a time when I used to read a lot, but now because this say studies and also family, you kind of
Yeah.
adapting to different people. I forgot about books.
Yeah.
I don't like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I've tried to do the same. I like designated a spot. And I carry my book with me. I was like, when I need a break, let's not watch a show. Let's
Yeah.
start reading again.
Yeah.
So kind of balance that. Watch your show too, no problem.
Yeah.
But also read like
Yeah.
1 page, 2 pages. Get
Yeah.
back into the zone of reading.
Yeah.
Each stage of your life or chapter, as I like to say, like it requires a different like toolkit. Right?
You're right.
So you
Yeah.
figure out, especially like that could be self-care toolkit,
Right.
that could be your study strategies toolkit, what it's like depending upon the season you're
Yeah.
in, you get to identify like, okay, what do I need in this moment? And so that's like really what I appreciated about y'all's like self-care. It's tailored to like where you are in this moment of your life and what you need and what makes you feel good. Because that's the important part when it comes to self-care. Like there is a component of it that is tied to joy. Now there is also a component of it where it's like it may not be the feel-good stuff, but the stuff that you need to do.
Yes.
But when you can tap into the feel-good stuff, it's tailored to who you are as an individual and not what like outside sources are telling you, oh, you should do this for self-care.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like, no.
You should go exercise. No, I'm going
I
to
don't want
watch
to.
my show.
Yeah. If that makes you happy, makes you feel good,
Exactly.
right. I'm going to binge on pizza tonight.
Exactly.
While watching.
I like that.
Okay, moving on to the discussion now. Edna, let's start with you.
Okay.
Can you share your experience of transitioning to Texas and the United States, in general, as an international student?
Yes. Okay. So it was a difficult time initially. My husband helped me come here. I mean, we were together coming here, and we didn't know anybody in Texas. We had relatives within the United States, but Texas is such a big state. You could be driving for 5 hours and you're still in Texas, right?
You're right.
So, and we didn't know anybody. It was difficult because we needed to find a place to stay, right? When you come here, because like, where will you go? HSC doesn't have like housing for students. So we had to look for apartments that is within our budget. And, the exchange rate of the Philippine peso to a US dollar is pretty high. It's 56 Philippine peso to $1. So it's pretty expensive for us. I'm really thankful for the scholarship that HSC SPH is giving, but then at the same time we have to make deposits, and also like what was like surprising not really surprising, but in a way when we rented the apartment, and we were like really clueless as to which, and there were only very few options I think at the time, and like we had to buy furniture. And like in the US, that's how it is. And then when you move out, like you also bring your furniture with you. It's not something that you can leave behind, and it's pretty pricey. And we had to like factor in a lot of like financial decision making, and also the geographical location of where we're staying, and also how are we going to move ourselves around. It was pretty difficult, and also in addition to that, like the logistics of it all. I think what was difficult also was because we're not from here. So everything that we see in media is our confirmation bias. So it's how being U.S. and Texas is being portrayed. And I would say like there's a lot of confirmation bias, because like Texas is seen as a red state. It's a Republican state. And remember when COVID hit in 2020, I started here 2021, and there were like a lot of discrimination against Asians. And I was really afraid that I might get mugged, or not mugged, like, slammed while I was walking down the streets, because that's what we were seeing back home in the videos and social media. And I even had to ask some PhD students at the time, is this really happening? And I also had to ask my future advisor, was this really what's happening in Fort Worth? Because I really didn't have any idea what was going on. And both of us, my husband and I, so we were a bit afraid, to the point that we were even a bit reluctant to are we actually going to pursue this? But, when I got here, it wasn't the case at all. So, all that confirmation bias and just like really feeling our way around, like the logistics of it all, I think that was like some of the experiences, like difficult experience that we had transitioning here in the U.S. and in particular Texas. I mean, it's not my first rodeo to stay in another country to study, but then we were really completely alone. We didn't have anybody here in Texas at the time when we came here, so it was just us. And but then my husband had to leave, and then I was all alone. But anyway, we can talk about that later in the other questions. So yeah, it was difficult initially.
Just like as a follow-up, I remember when I was back in India, you watch these shows, these shows that portray schools so different, that portray the people here so different. And when you come here, it's not like that at all. It's everyone is just welcoming. It's not, you don't see that, people don't welcome you at all. It's on the contrary, you can approach anyone here and be like, hi, can you help me? And they're actually more willing to help you.
I agree.
Than what you see on TV or you hear about in the news. And I'm like, this is just so... That makes you realize that they generalize everything so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like you said, confirmation bias. I love the epi term. I was like, we're all epi students here, but definitely. No, but that's true. So it kind of gets you afraid, because it was my first time too. I'm an international student too. And these 2 years living away from family, being alone, meeting new people, is also really hard to transition into when you come from a background that is full of, you're surrounded by family the whole time. You're never alone. And you're always alone. You have friends, yes, but there's no family. There's no, I know I can go to this person if I just need to relax and something like that. So I kind of understand what you went through as well, because it's difficult. It's a hard time, right?
Availability bias as well, what you perceive. So.
That's true. So when you began building relationships and adjusting to a new environment here, what kinds of experiences did you encounter?
It was challenging, again, initially, because there's some cultural and societal barriers that we needed to overcome, I guess. In the beginning, English is not my first language. We do speak a lot of English in the Philippines, but then, when I came here, I developed some sort of inferiority, honestly, because I feel like I'm an expressive person, and if I'm not able to express myself at the most like optimal level that I want to express myself, I just kind of clam up. And, something as simple as going into in and out and then walking up to the cashier and saying, what are you ordering? I can't. Seriously, I can't for the first like 1 year. I would shut myself in my apartment. I spent New Year and Christmas in my apartment alone. I took videos. I think I was like, it was my way of expressing myself. Because like one of the, I think societal barriers is that I didn't want to burden people. Being Asian, I think being Southeast Asian, we don't want to just like come up to people like, hey, can you help me with this? You don't want to be, because we see it as a burden to other people, right? I just kept mostly to myself. And, it was pretty hard because I felt like I was spiraling down and I was well aware of it. I said like, this is not me. I would have dreams. It was so bad because like, not just dreams, like daydreaming, and I wouldn't want to get out. I would dream like I was in our old house, and I would just like be in between my parents sleeping, and I wouldn't want to get out. I said like, wait a minute, this is ever in my first time in my life experiencing this, and I said this is not okay. And then I sought professional help. I went to the clinic and say I am experiencing this, and they diagnosed me as with depression. And then I had to medicate. But, and again, in the Philippines, when you are depressed, when you have these mental health issues, it's not really, it's not a positive thing. You are viewed as weak. I think it's a Southeast Asian or an Asian culture.
Don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it. And it's taboo, like mental health, depressed, what is that? Like, you weak person.
Snap out of it.
Yes.
That's
I think that's a lot of people say, just suck up to it and get over it. I was like, that's not how it works. You cannot just stop and get over it.
So initially it was difficult, but as the time progressed, I developed friends, and you know what? They themselves told me, you should have asked for help. And we would have gladly given it to you. And I was so thankful, honestly. And Dr. Nila Megam is one of those. Seriously. I came up to her and she said like, it's normal to experience things, and this is how you can like overcome it. And I took her advice really well, and also some of the faculty at SPH and some of my colleagues. And before you know it, like, ta-da! I'm here, able to express myself. And it was so good. So eventually there's a phase, the culture shock, but eventually it will you will overcome it. So,
so forming that community, right? Forming that community with people around you kind of just helps you overcome that initial culture shock and just being in a small little shell by yourself.
I was afraid to be like, found out. Like, I'm an imposter. Like, this girl parading herself, like, here, but she's not really from here. There's that fear. So that inferiority. And it just really came up to me. And like, it was hard. Initially.
I understand. A lot of us feel that way, right? It's not just us as international people, but maybe people who we are even from out of state. Because I'm pretty sure even cultures in different states vary, right? And maybe the way they do things there is different from the way they do in Texas. And so it's not just for us as international, like out of U.S., but also out of state. Maybe hard to just adjust to something that's, the climate here is, I'm sorry, but it's so bad. They're like 4 seasons in a day. Who does that? Even today, it was bright and sunny in the morning. Now you look outside, you're like, what is happening? Why are you so depressed? The sky is all gloomy. You don't want to study. You see people trying to study in the library, and you're like, I will motivate myself. But it's just not happening. And you see so many different faces on campus, too. So you understand that people are not just from here. They're all from all over the United States and even outside, right? So, have you used any coping strategies or mechanisms that helped you overcome these moments of transition?
Of course, yes. I think the number one coping mechanism that I had was, just being self-aware, like really aware that this is not normal. And when I started to acknowledge that and see myself in that situation, that's when I decided to actually do something about it. But then, actually doing something about it, it's not also easy because you have to find the motivation for it. And of course, that's where my husband comes in. I mean, I would talk to him. I would cry to him. I would cry to my plants. I would cry to my rats, seriously. But Yeah, I mean, just being aware and like actually have that feeling like, hey, I don't want to be stuck in this situation. I don't want to be in here, so I must do something about it. And that's when I really started reaching out to, like, of course, first the clinic. I need to get myself like professional help. And second, the care team, I actually looked up some material on how to like get out of depression because I also acknowledge that, hey, I'm sure I am not alone in this journey. A lot of people are experiencing this. This is normal. A lot of people go through this. So I also looked through that material, and I also was very much intentional about like joining external organizations, not in the university, but I tried to volunteer for the American Red Cross. And I did. I was able to volunteer for that one. And then I see myself like going out more, talking more to like people, to English-speaking people, and also like making small conversations in the elevator of my apartment. And also I tried to exercise first in my room because I didn't want to go out. I had that anxiety and inferiority complex, but I started going to the gym more, even just like doing simple cardio and then weight training. So these are the coping mechanisms that I did, like being self-aware, really like intentionally reaching out for professional help and intentionally seeking external organizations. And also then I started seeking help from my other international colleagues. And then also just exercising. I think those are the mechanisms. And then a little more along the way, I started also seeking help from mentors, from faculty. So yeah, those are my coping, and they really helped a lot.
Faculty is really helpful.
Yes.
And not just with your study material.
Yes.
They also are open to you just talking
Exactly.
about life in general. And if you like just walk up to them and be like, do you have 5 minutes? Can I talk to you? And they're like, sure.
Yes.
And it's hard to see that in people because from where I come from, you don't really view as faculty members as someone you can open up to apart from just studies. Because their teachers are more like they're there to teach you. You have problems, you go to them, and that's where it ends.
Yes.
But here, it's just they're like, if you have anything else apart from that, you are more than welcome to come and talk to me. And that made me feel so accepted in the place that was just so new to me.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of us want that, right? We want acceptance, and not just from colleagues, but also where you are, say, if you're working or even if faculty members. You just want to be accepted in that place at that moment. And I think that anxiety kind of reduces a lot.
Yes.
When you feel that acceptance from friends and even faculties and even teachers. So I think that has helped at least a lot of my friends as well, because we talk about it. When we're just in the library and just like, I talked to this faculty member today and she helped me with this. And I was like, oh, I didn't know she would do that. And then even mentors on campus, like the care team. I had to use that resource too because you feel that sometimes.
Yes.
And you
That's right.
probably need a third person to help you understand that it's not normal.
I agree.
Yeah.
You probably need more help than you think you do.
Yeah.
And I love that you said you should be self-aware because that's also one of the qualities that a lot of us do not have, just that self-awareness that, what I'm feeling is not normal.
Yeah.
Just that is the first step.
That's the first
Yeah.
step.
You acknowledging
Exactly.
that what you're feeling is not normal
Yeah.
and not just downplaying what you're feeling. So I love that how you explored that side of you. That was just, I'm pretty sure it was a journey.
It was
Right?
quite a long journey too, like about a year.
So based on all these experiences that you have had as an international student, how has it shaped your perspective, like your personal growth on your future aspirations?
It has shaped my future aspirations and perspective so much in a good way.
Okay.
Like in a good way. Like I think all these are lessons that made me more resilient and made me more persevere. And just knowing that there are people who actually like to support you, who can support you, and at the same time who like to support you, because like that's different, right? And it just gave me this sense of like greater appreciation of where I am right now, greater appreciation of the people I am with, and just a sense of gratitude for everything that's happening to me here in America, taking this wonderful education, having really good mentors and teachers, learning a lot about epidemiology. My background wasn't in epidemiology, but through them, I really learned a lot. And I do hope that I can bring the wisdom of my mentors and my advisors with me someday and implement them and just shape myself to be a good scientist, a good researcher in the field of public health. And in terms of my perspective in America, hey, it's great. I mean, it has its like policy thing, political things. But at the same time, when you look at the academic side, there's a reason why the United States like really publish a lot of papers like at the forefront of like science and technology, because people really are very driven here and they're very much motivated and inspired to do a lot of scientific research work. And I think all of those experiences that I've had motivates me to become like a really good independent science researcher someday.
And so one last thing I want to know from you. So this is something new that I've tried for the first time. So if you had a magic wand, what resources would you create to support the international student community and help like a smooth transition process?
I would definitely, a magic wand, right? I would definitely have like a halfway house for international students coming here. Because like just a structure where we can all be together, like a dorm, right? I mean, it's a halfway house. You can stay there for like a transient, like 5 months, 3 months until you're able to like move out and get your own apartment. But just first still learning the ropes, because you need to have that. Like when you transfer from yourself from like your country to another, you need to have a halfway house. You just cannot immediately, it's difficult to immediately rent out an apartment at such an exorbitant price. And then you have to furnish it. That's another like, wow, how do I do this? But having that halfway house where everything is provided for you, not just like the furniture or the beddings or the place to stay, but also that knowledge, when people there like impart their knowledge on you and help you learn the ropes on how to actually live here, exist and thrive here in America, then and pursue your graduate studies. That's what I would do with my magic wand, a halfway house for international students coming in.
I love that you're talking about like having university housing. Now, that's also the former like housing person in me. Oh, cool. So my introduction into higher ed and me realizing that like I could make a career out of this was housing. But twofold, actually. My mom went back to school when I was really young. And so the only way that she was really able to do that was because we had university housing and they had family housing. And when they, there were like two different, not to put them like on blast or anything, but there were two different types of like family housing units. And where we stayed, it was me and her, but then we also had a lot of our neighbors who were international students who had their family that came with them too. And so being immersed in that allowed me to like learn so much about like just different cultures, but also the experience, because it was like, for me, I grew up in a single parent household, so it was just me and her. But it was like there was this entire community that we had, and just hearing the stories and learning about different cultures was so exciting. But they said the same thing, like being able to have that so that it helps you when you are inside of the classroom. Like there's just so much that you are able to do because you do have like that security of the housing being taken care of and not worrying about some of those outside factors. We would say like residential education, right? So you have the learning that happens in the classroom, but there's like education that you can learn in a residential community.
I agree.
And so like you talking to that and that being like your magic wand response, I'm like, yes. I love that.
Indeed, because like you learn a lot from other people with different backgrounds and cultures. And all of you like in one space, like you get to learn so much. And it's exciting and it's nice. And you will have that sense of belonging, that acceptance. Some like an international student would really love to be part of, like to belong and to feel accepted. It's important.
Because it's a new place and you just like, the first time you come here, you're all alone.
All alone.
You actually are all alone.
Yeah.
Maybe some people have family here and that's like a cherry on top. That's a bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of, when you say you have family, even when you said you have family in the United States, they may be hours away.
Like, a flight away.
A flight away. And it's good to know that you have them there, but in an emergency, they're not going to run to you.
Exactly.
It's just that the community that you build, right, with the people around you is who help. Like, I know now, at least I know that if I do need some help, I know I can pick up the phone, call my friend, and she will be on her way. But that is just after living here for like 2 years is when we built up that friendship. And it was, I feel like sometimes it's a little late in the game, but at least you built that friendship.
Yes.
But it takes a while.
Yeah.
And the first time you were here,
Yeah.
you're left on your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for someone who's international, finding a house
Yeah.
is
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
You don't know the renting rules, A.
Yeah.
You don't know where you should look for, B.
Yeah.
You don't know what steps to keep in mind when you're
Yeah.
looking for a house on rent. And then
Exactly.
you can't see the space in person because you're a country
not-
away.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're not here.
You're not here.
Yeah.
And then just to sign a lease and to know that you're legally obligated,
Yeah.
you can break it once you sign it. I was like, who's going to tell us that?
Yeah.
Insurance, like how does this work in
Insurance.
America?
I know, because I was
Yes.
like,
I
there's a
still
house
ask that
insurance.
question.
Like, there's a renter's insurance. I didn't know there was something like that.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of not knowing
Yeah.
and doing all of that by staying in a different state, a different country altogether,
Yeah.
and still managing that, juggling back and forth was hard because I had to do that. I
Yeah.
didn't have a place, to come here
Yeah.
to. I had to make sure that I had rented out before I come here so I have a place to stay
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
So I do understand when you say halfway house because, like, if possible,
Yeah, if
that
possible,
would
right?
be great. That's a wrap for the part 1 of this episode. In part 2, we will continue our conversation with Dr. Neela Megha. See you soon.